Fornhan.Ponsan, enroll now and become part of the story. So where is he? Didn't class already start? Normally he is over punctual. Everyone can be holed up sometimes. Why are they here? Are they part of class? I don't like that. They scare me. Are they even allowed to be here without a teacher? Us sitting here went not unnoticed by the werewolf. Where the other students seemed to be ignorable for them, did our encounter with Fahusha make them have a disdain for us. On the other side are the students of our class, quite up and about from having 7 of the other werewolves, plus Fahusha and Hell. As Fahusha was such a demanding personality, did he instill quite some fear into especially those close to the door. What his entrance then also enticed was Han Peng to immediately get up and move towards him. Instead of letting the rest of the class fall into whispering rumors, did he give them a show that they could not overlook or take their focus off. The only barrier that stood between him and the door were the 3 T brothers, of which none posed a hurdle for him. This even included the normally reasonable Tim. The one person that would stop Han Peng was stopped herself. Lapis held her down, stopping her from intervening. This will come no matter what. Don Fei was then someone looking forward to the inevitable demise that would befall Han Peng. It was obvious that he was not standing up to give them a friendly greeting, and combined with the werewolf rule of respect over all more natural problems. So did Han Peng walk towards the group of werewolves with Fahusha eagerly awaiting when he would reach him, standing just at the beginning of the stairs, so that Han Peng would be forced to stand 1 step below him. This was a miscalculation on Fahusha's part, as he assumed that the werewolves that were guarding his flanks would prevent Han Peng from stepping around him, but the second Han Peng got there, did he without flinching do the last step, and that determination pushed those werewolves back to make space for him. What are you doing here? We small weak humans don't have anything to offer to you. I simply decided on a whim that you Fifa-Hifmü should be allowed to base on my glory for a bit, to make you understand the place in the world that you occupy. Is that so? Then thank you for your blessing, you fucking asshole. The arrogance you have to show here up and behave like that. So you want to challenge me? You not Fifa-Hifmü sure are funny. And what if I were to do that? Then I would break your arms and legs and let you bleed out until you beg for forgiveness. I wonder what would happen when a head so high werewolf would simply attack a weak human. You think that I should be scolded for supervising my prey? You sure are Jirlarif. So tell me, how far would you get once teacher comes here, seeing you attacking me? Me, who has not laid a finger on you, hiding behind some invisible force, like the Nosh Fifa-Hifmü you are. In the time anyone would come here, could I make you regret ever having felt confident in your entire life? It would be comedically easy for me to completely stump an inferior being like you. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but they will never make me yield. It was then that Aspan realized the shift in atmosphere. Aspan had seen this often enough. There are hostile conversations that never lead to anything, a simple display and power of words, a clash of ideas that only works because both sides are convinced of their right. Subconsciously do they accept that the other person defends what they see as right, and they accept that fact as they do the same, a truth that only upholds for those fights that are caused from a clash of ideas, not for those who both sides know the same side is wrong. Han Peng did only challenge the werewolf because he did not like him, and nothing more. Han Peng knew it was wrong, but unlike werewolf, the human respond differently to fighting a fight they know they cannot win. Illogically, unreasonable, and completely human behavior that only infuriates the werewolf, who lives by the rule of strength. Aspan realizes this, and this moment did his mind go blank. He knew he had to simply act as he had wasted the time he was given to prepare. No one else would notice the severity or have the ability to de-escalate it, now that it has passed this point of no return. Aspan acted like he never would, to do something he never would, not being hindered by those in his rows, blocking his path. Did Aspan step on the table and run over it, instead of waiting for the slow response of others to make space, running to the door, running towards the two, running towards them, and then jumping in between them. Them, a human who refused to yield, a losing battle. Them, a werewolf who would not be ridiculed for his generosity. A strike that would have crippled Han Peng if it had ever connected, who had yet to realize the full scale of his words, both staring at an intruder in surprise. It was shock for Han Peng, who thought he knew Aspan good enough to know he would never do such a thing, and anger from the werewolf towards the human who dares to interrupt him, who dares to put a hand in front of his face and push him away. Aspan was by no means strong enough to even make this werewolf, who was the strongest of his year, flinch, while Han Peng, who had never fought outside of his words, was easily toppled from the sudden impulse. He may look like someone who would be a brawler, but in reality is Han Peng a diligent and meticulous person, given the body of a brawler, so he had no experience in fighting by hand. He knew he would need this ability if he wanted to deal with magical creatures, but hoped that with knowledge he could overcome the need of raw force. Han Peng, now sitting on the ground, looking up at Aspan, not able to truly understand what had just happened, completely baffled by Aspan's actions. Aspan now standing firmly and opposing the werewolf, neither showing respect to the threat that this werewolf was to him, nor his ideologies as a werewolf. The werewolf frozen in place, his claws just moments away from tearing through Aspan's weak skin, tearing off his head, but with a look of fear frozen in place, looking inside the eyes of a true monster, not a monster like werewolves were made out in human stories, and not a terror like humans were to the world, but instead a true monster, a threat not to his body, but his very existence staring at him. Then there were the other werewolves, who struggled to analyze what just occurred in front of their very own eyes, the chain of events that unwound in such a short amount of time, bringing them to this very moment. And then, finally, there was the rest of the class, staring at Aspan, not knowing how they should react. Should they applaud him? Should they scold him? Not only openly, but they didn't even know how to think about the situation. And they did not grasp what should have happened that instant Aspan jumped in, and the weight of his presence that was needed to push away the proud and strong werewolf of this year. What the human did was unexpected, especially for the shapes of the Fuhucha. He exists in a world without rebuttals. Those weaker stay far away, and even if he challenges the stronger, would he not face someone that was this overwhelmingly stronger? There isn't such a thing as someone opposing a stronger in our world, and the weak always lose to the strong. It is ingrained inside our soul. Those like me are an anomaly, and this human knows very well that he is an anomaly like me. Then I asked why did he walk out there. He did not do it because he thought he could win, or because he was fighting for the right cause. It does not happen often that anyone else besides the leader would be able to make Fornhan silent. None the more stop and accept defeat. You are interesting, human. You know that he could kill you in an instant, and you understood that he would have done so to any other human in this class, if daring to interrupt him. Yet you opposed him. He had lost the moment you decided to act, because he cannot win against someone that much stronger than he is, and that made him stop against his will. My words echoed through the silent room that had been frozen solid through one action, that stopped all action. Even sound and thought are frozen over, but with my words reverberating through everyone present, could motion return to this place. The first to move is expectedly Fornhan. While shocked, was this not enough to freeze him? I know that he simply had to sort out what the proper way of acting is now that he has found a foe that he miscalculated. The next to get out of shock are the friends of those humans, the same that were there the day we arrived, all rushing in to look after them, but the one on the ground was still motionless, especially now when he realized what had happened. Our classmates are next, but they would never dare to show hostility openly towards someone that stopped Fornhan, so they simply form their own circle. The last to wake up is the class of humans, who are unaware of what monumentous event they just witnessed. The only ones in this class that never froze up, but rather decided to not act, was naturally myself, Fornhan, who simply needed to sort out what to do next, as he lacked the knowledge to know how to deal with the situation, and that human who intervened. He did not move, but not for the reason that he froze up, but instead so that he would force away Fornhan with an oppressing and dominating stare. Really, it is amazing to see someone like you. Even now, I do get shivers looking at you, but you can relax. I am not out for a fight, and Fornhan also won't do anything anymore. He had his fair share of embarrassment. He won't be picking a fight he cannot win. It was obvious to me that he despised me from the second he saw me. It's a natural rule that equals can't exist in the same space, but that also meant he understood my words perfectly. He loosened his posture and turned his attention to me now. He already knows that his friend is perfectly fine, if just a bit shocked, so his attention instead shifts towards what comes next. Then what do you want? I don't have anything to say to what I did. What Han-Peng did was childish, but what Fornhan did was going too far. I agree that Fornhan can be a bit, he had been given everything from birth, looks, talents and a strong body, so he always lashes out at those who oppose him. He is quite the irregularity amongst us, not even listening to those stronger than him until he feels their difference in power through pain. That being said, is it all the more rare for him to give up without a fight? But what that also means, he won't let this sit. He may retreat for now, but someone as egoistic as he would never just let this humiliation stay as is. But he is also too prideful to simply attack you, and that you know very well. He will seek out an honest fight to prove his superiority, and I will win to get him back to Earth. You are speaking as if I would easily beat such a monster in a fight, but you would. Wouldn't you? It is not about if you could do so, but if you want to do it. Well, I like you, so let me give you a tip. In the end, it is our both assumptions that the other thinks like we do, so it would be most wise to test out the validity of that. I already know where Sinrasid will be drawn towards, so I should play my part for once. He should know what this means. Remember this, even if you never will use it. When a werewolf says to you, should you answer with this one word. And because he knows, did he reciprocate my motion of leaning in with his own before I even had started my own. This was not something to be said out loud into a group of unknowing humans and werewolves alike. It is not a saying the average werewolf knows about or understands what meaning is behind the meaningless waves of pressure that we call speech. Words without meaning have only responses without hold. So why ask questions you know to not being answered? My name is Hag. You should probably remember that. We will be sure to speak with another in the future again, Aspan. A rat sneaking around and gathering answers to questions so to not have to ask them. And I have already heard the noise of another rat sneaking around the shaft. After all, you already knew my name before I even said it. An utterly and completely incomprehensible being, acting for nothing but his own gain. Hag, you won't get from me what you want. With how much time had passed due to this instant was the time for Mr. Firkus to get here completely under-equipped for handling a situation like this. Luckily for him, did with Vihosha leaving, also the other werewolves leave, dispelling the danger. He did try to figure out what had happened, but they didn't come much out of it, or the rest of the class, with how agitated everyone now was.